What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with our Week 8 NFL preview and picks. As always, I got Ethan here to join us to break down this week's games. But before we do, we got to talk about last week. And Ethan,
Um,
I'll let you go here. 12-3, another great week from you.
yeah, it's a blessing. It's a blessing to be here, man. And New Orleans, they kind of sold the bag. I don't know what we were thinking there. There were some good games this week. Houston, Green Bay, one of those. I know you really sweated that one out until the end.
Hmm.
Atlanta, that was Seattle kind of, they started to get some momentum there. Other than that, I mean, okay, let me talk about the Steelers. I don't know why you picked the Jets, bro. Like,
Hey, Devontae Adams. I mean, come on. The hype was there.
yeah, the hype was there, and Russell, everyone was sleeping on Russ, but we can say it. They look pretty good this week. They look pretty good. And I'll leave it there. I'll let you discuss the games as well.
Yeah, all I gotta say is I think, right now, as is going into week 8, all four NFC North teams are currently in the playoffs. And I don't know if I'm pretty sure it's never happened. All teams get into the playoffs, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it happens. The NFC West is weak this year with the Niners. Who knows what they're gonna do? NFC
Yep.
South, they're definitely only gonna get one team in, it feels like at this point. And the NFC East, well, it's either Commanders or Eagles. And I think if that's the case, maybe the North does get four teams in. But talking about the North, we'll switch to the AFC North. We're going about those Ravens. I think, they only won by 10 points. I get it. They won really that game by 24, 26 because some late touchdowns and missed onside,
Yeah.
whatever. But Ravens right now, I mean, how can you bet against them? They look like the best team in football.
I mean, I will say about the Ravens, that defense has not looked as good as it has in the past, so that could be alarming. I think this division's still open, but the Ravens are clearly the favorite. That being said, let's jump into these locks from last week. And your boy had a 6-0, another unbeaten. We had, I think, what's that, 3 straight weeks where one of us has undefeated. That's pretty.
Yeah, something. I think you had the I started off with locks and then you had the picks the week before and then you had this last week.
Yeah, so that's why you're here with Bench Buddies. This is what we bring to the community. 6-0 week. Didn't parlay it, but
Unfortunate. Super unfortunate. Just like my unfortunate bets. Atlanta sold hard for me in that one. The Jaguars and Patriots actually scored points, so didn't win that one. And then the Houston Green Bay over just missed out on that one. I think if the Packers would have scored a touchdown, it would have went over instead of settling.
dude, yeah, I was sweating that out too, man. That thing ended at 46. I had the over.
Unfortunate scene there, but hopefully we can change it this weekend. My parlay, if you parlay all these together currently right now on Thursday night, you get plus 36.75. And I'm going Kyron anytime touchdown. He scored every single touchdown or a game. He scored in every single game this year. And the Bengals 2.5 versus Philly. I think the Bengals have started to turn a page. And if they can win this game, I think that's when we really see the Bengals play like they're supposed to play like. My Packers go on the road in Jacksonville. I think they can go in there and probably win that game by double digits. Saints +7 on the road. Kamara, last week came out and said that he's disappointed in himself and the team and for the fans, and they deserve all the hate they're getting right now because they've lost five straight. And I think that's going to light a fire under them. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I definitely think this game is going to be a lot closer than it will be because the Chargers offense can't put it in the end zone. Buffalo, Seattle, Dallas, San Francisco. I like both those unders here. You got two evenly matched games, I think, in this one, and I think the defenses are going to come out and play.
Alrighty. And if you look to the right here, we got my week 8 locks. Coming off a hot streak for both of us. I looked through yours, those look pretty solid. Uh Over here we got Justin Jefferson anytime touchdown for tonight. Rams secondary just putting it together, is having a tough time. Joe Mixon, he's almost a lock every week with that offense. Colts +5 at Houston. These games are always close, and 5 points is a lot, especially with Houston winning as many games as they did. I feel like this could be a trap game. San Francisco -4. New York Giants. Pittsburgh over 36.5. The over splashed in 3 straight games. I think they're undervaluing the Steelers offense, although it's close. It's going to be a close one. And then Arizona and Minnesota or Miami over 46 points. I feel like that should definitely hit with Tua coming back.
Yeah, and we'll start with tonight's game. Vikings on the road, I think they keep the momentum going. I like them to cover as well. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams actually pull off the upset just because Cooper Kupp's back. Stafford's favorite weapon is back. And when those two are on the field together, obviously it's a sight to see.
Right. And it's Thursday night football. Sam Darnold's not too proven, although he has looked good. I am taking the Vikings though, and I do like the spread as well, just because the Rams haven't played well yet this season. But like you said, it definitely could be this week with Cooper Kupp coming back. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I'm taking the Vikings as well.
Yeah, then we'll start it off Sunday with my Packers going on the road to Jacksonville. Obviously, I'm going with my Packers. I already said that I think they could win this by double digits. And they're playing some really good football right now. They're starting to figure it out. And I don't know if you guys have seen the Kurt Benkert podcast, but he really breaks down the games and breaks down film. And two things you've seen the Packers do the last few weeks is catch the ball, not drop the ball early on in the season. And that's what was really struggling with this Packers team is they weren't not getting open and not making plays. They were doing everything except actually catching the ball. And last few weeks, they're catching the ball, no drops. And obviously, you can see the Packers are winning games, being in games, like the Texans game last week. The defense showed up, and I think the defense is going to stifle the Jaguars here.
Yeah, Packers going across the country into Jacksonville, going down south. I don't know. I'm definitely taking the Packers here, but I mean, 2-5 Jacksonville, they're desperate. It's probably going to be hot. Green Bay's used to the cold. You never know, but Jacksonville has not looked good this year, and I just can't pick them.
Yeah, and then I think this one's kind of a easy pick. If you're picking all 16 this week, I think this is your probably biggest lock of the week. Ravens go on the road, beat the Browns, and I think it's going to be pretty convincingly. The Browns obviously kind of have nothing to play for. Nick Chubb's back, kind of traded their team already, is what they could trade, and maybe Newsom and Garrett are gone within this next week. But for this game only, Ravens in a blowout.
Yeah. Do we know who started the Browns at quarterback?
I think it's Winston.
Okay. Well, definitely. I mean, either way, I'm taking the Ravens, but you hit it spot on, dude. It's AFC North, so it could be, I think it'll be a physical game, but the Ravens are just too talented and too powerful on offense, so going with the Ravens.
And kind of same thing. I think this game is going to be a blowout. Titans traded two players this week, D-Hop and I forget his name, but one of their starting linebackers. So maybe this is going to be kind of a blowout. Lions play good football, and they're at home. So I expect another blowout here.
Yeah, me too. They definitely should win this one convincingly. Titans haven't really put anything together this year, so gotta go with the Lions.
And I don't want to say the same thing here, but if you're the Colts, maybe if you lose this game, you throw Flacco back in there. I know I get the Richardson thing and he's younger and he's supposed to be a franchise QB, but Flacco definitely could show him the ropes. Flacco's led this team to a few wins already in Richardson's absence where he's been struggling Richardson. And it's a huge game for both these teams for the AFC South standpoint. And that being said, Houston's at home and I like the Texans.
Yeah, I like the Texans as well. Did take Indianapolis +5, so I expect it to be close. I do agree with the Joe Flacco, but you can put him in any time, basically. I feel like you don't want to lose too many games, but you got to let him play a little bit. I think a little bit longer than after this week. I think maybe after like week 12, we'll see where it's at. But yeah, I'm going with the Texans as well. It's just they've played really well and they've always ended up winning close games, except for last week, which was surprising.
And the game that I think a lot of people are going to be looking at because of the return of Tua. And I think the Dolphins are going to get it. And if he's on the field, stays healthy, those weapons become X factors. And the Cardinals don't really have corners to stop Waddle and Tyreek. And then as long as the speed's on the field as well, out of the backfield, tough offense to stop with a good quarterback. So I like the Dolphins finally getting back in the win column.
Yeah, the Dolphins just couldn't get anything going. I think this is the time where they do it. You guys know I'm high, like you know that I'm pretty high on the Cardinals this year. But Dolphins at home, I think they're going to score a lot of points. But Miami's just with Tua coming back, like you said, too many weapons, and I think they're going to win it here.
And Jets are going to go on the road, beat the Patriots, a battle of 2-5 and 1-6, battle of mid. And I don't think you're going to be watching this game unless you see the highlight that Devontae Adams scores his first touchdown as a Jet.
Yeah, definitely not tuning into this one unless Sunday Ticket makes me, which I
Mhm.
don't know why they do that, but it's the regional broadcasting. Yeah, no, yeah, we're going with the Jets here this week for sure, for sure.
Yeah, and you want to talk about a huge game as well. You got this. I know the Falcons come in off a loss, not really pretty. Same for the Bucks, and obviously losing pretty much half of their wide receiver room. So it's hard to pick the Bucks here because it's even a home game, but I'm still going with Atlanta on the road. I think the healthier team and the better team at the moment is going to get the win here.
Yeah, I agree as well. And Bijan has finally kind of opened up the offense. Along with Drake London, he's been a superstar. He's been one of the top receivers this year without a doubt, with Kirk Cousins. And yeah, like you said, the Bucks injuries really it's going to hurt him for a little bit with Godwin and Evans going down. That's really going to hurt my fantasy team as well. And I'm sure a lot of you guys is going with the Falcons here.
And I think we saw it earlier. I already talked about it. I like the Bengals to cover here, so obviously I'm taking the Bengals. I think they're
Yep.
going to get back to 500. And the Eagles, I don't think they're the team that we think they're going to be this year. I still don't believe in it. I know Saquon is supposed to be the savior there and really take this team to the next level, but I just don't see it. I don't see it. I'm not a Philly hater or anything, but something's missing there for Philly, and that's cause for concern for me. And I think the Bengals are finally going to turn a page, turn the corner, get back to 500, and shoot, they might throw their hat in the ring and still have a chance in the AFC North.
Yeah, a win here would go a long way in doing that. Almost have to win this game if you're the Bengals, just to, stay in that hunt. A lot of good teams in the AFC. The Eagles, yeah, like you said, I mean, I'm with you. I think Saquon can help them. Like last week, like we saw last week, they can win those games convincingly. Saquon just went off. I think a team with a better running defense, though, they're going to be able to contain them. I'm not really saying that's the Bengals because their defense has been pretty bad, but I mean, I do think they're going to score a lot of points this week, and that Bengals offense has been rolling. Eagles defense did play well, but I think it's a hoax. Like you said, I'm not seeing it. Going with the Bengals here.
We move into the 4 o'clock games. I think the Chargers are going to bounce back, get a win at home, and hopefully score a touchdown in this one. And if that's the case, if this team can really run the ball like Jim Harbaugh loves to play football against the Saints defense, it's a wrap. And, we saw what the Saints gave up last week to the Broncos on the ground. Well, the Chargers specialize in running the ball. So if this is the case and we kind of get the same defense we saw the Saints have last week, Chargers are going to run away with this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. And we were high on the Saints last week, and they just looked terrible. So can't pick them. Can't pick them again until they prove something different. Chargers didn't score a touchdown last week. What was it, like 6 field goals or something stupid like that?
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so that -7's kind of, if they can't score a touchdown, they're not going to win by more than 7, I don't think. So, but I do think it'll change. It'll change for
And then
sure.
we got Bills, Seahawks, and I took the under in this one here. And I'm taking, and you can see why I'm taking the Seahawks here. I think this is going to be a 20-17 kind of game. Josh Allen, I think, is going to struggle against a good defensive-minded head coach in McDonald. Coming over from Baltimore, and those two are familiar against each other, game plan. And it seems like Josh Allen really didn't have Lamar's, or I guess the Ravens' number a few years ago. And I think he's going to have a good scheme for him. And not that I like the Seahawks offense better than the Bills offense. I'm not saying that, but I just think scheme wise, the Seahawks are going to match up very well and be able to stop them. And I think the Bills are going to have a tough time stopping Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of good points there. A lot of good analysis. I think you're right. And but I'm taking the Bills. I think it's just the flip side of that coin. I think both offenses are pretty good, and I do think that over's gonna hit. And the Bills, Josh Allen, it really just comes down to Josh Allen and that offense over Geno. That's about it. Give me the Bills here.
Then at 425, hopefully, I know you guys were looking forward the Jane Daniels, Caleb Williams, one pick, one overall versus two overall. But unfortunately, we're not going to get it more than likely. Jane Daniels trending towards missing this game with a rib injury. So you're going to get Marcus Mariota in absence. And he still came in last week, lit it up. I know it's against the Panthers, but it's a good sight to see that he came in and didn't really miss a beat and the offense didn't slow down. And for that reason, I am going with Commanders at home here. I think they're going to get to 6-2, and really, if they haven't already, put the NFC in the league on notice that yeah, they might be a top two seed this year in the NFC.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is going to be a close game, no doubt. Bears play some good defense, but Mariota's more than capable. They got some star powers over there in Washington, and that defense has been good as well. Bears looking good, but I think the Commanders will win a close one here. 6-2, baby.
And then a huge game for the Broncos because if you lose this game, I think a lot of people are going to write you off and kind of expect you where to be. But you win this game like you should. You're 5-3 in the AFC West, and I get that the Chiefs are still undefeated, but I don't think many people had the Broncos being the second place team in the AFC West right now. And if they can do that, obviously beat the Panthers here, then I think that Broncos defense is legit this year, and Bo Nix and his receiving core are starting to figure it out together. Could be a scary team down the stretch, and they played the Chiefs twice because they haven't played them yet.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting down the stretch. Not much else to say about this game, but if they do win this game, I they could definitely make the playoffs. They play good defense. We see that type of team every year. And Sean Payton, well coached, Bo Nix. They have they got some good qualities over there in Denver. So you never know.
Yeah, and then talking
Mhm.
about those Chiefs going on the road to face the Raiders, and the Raiders beat Mahomes both times last year, and I'm sure Mahomes is thinking about that, especially while they're undefeated, kind of going in there with the expectation that they should beat him, obviously. But I think it's going to be a little bit more personal for this Chiefs team, and I think it's going to be a beatdown, just because they still are thinking about last year, proving that they are going to be the better team, and I know that that chip on their shoulder is always there. And Max Crosby obviously is an absolute menace, and I just don't think he's going to show up in this one just because the Chiefs are going to game plan around him because he's kind of really the only defensive player on the Raiders that you really have to worry about.
Yeah, and if you think about it, the Chiefs have stopped the run defense has stopped the best running backs in the league. Alexander Madison, and the Raiders' really only threat is running the ball. So it's not a good matchup. It is a division rivalry. All that being said, I mean, I don't think either of us have picked against the Chiefs 2022.
Nope,
Great.
nope. Can't pick against the Super Bowl champion, but you can pick against the team that was in the Super Bowl. And I'm taking the Cowboys here on the road. I think coming out of the bye week, they have to win this game. If they don't win this game on the road, I think that's where I'm writing on the dotted line and signing off on the Cowboys for this year. And I get that the Niners definitely banged up, most injured team in football right now. Hey, you got to play with what you got. And the Cowboys got everything right now, the best to their ability, as long as they haven't made a trade in since the time this video started. And then the Niners, I think they could be a team that's looking to make a trade for a receiver. So maybe Deontay Johnson, I like that comp going to the 49ers if that happens maybe next week because the deadline is in 2 weeks from 2 weeks from Tuesday, so 12 days away. November 4th is the trade deadline. So let's say Cowboys win this game. Maybe they're still looking for a piece. Maybe they go get a running back or something at the deadline. Who knows? But this game is going to dictate how the trade deadline goes for both these teams and if they want to add pieces.
Well, I'm going with the Niners here. I just can't take the Cowboys on the road in a primetime game against the Niners. I just feel like the 49ers kind of own them in that aspect. So it doesn't matter who they're banged up, whatever. I think they're gonna they're still gonna play good defense, and the Cowboys haven't played really well either. And like you said about the Cowboys needing this win, I think the Niners need this win as well. You don't want to drop down to 3-5. That's going to be a major morale drop there if that happens. So I got to take the Niners to get back to 500 here.
And then Monday night, got your Steelers on prime time TV. Only one Monday night football game this week. Thankfully, I'm tired of that two-game crap.
Yeah, it sucks, kind of, doesn't it?
Giants, what do they got? Malik Neighbors. They have a good receiving core that I don't think too many people are putting on notice. I mean, Slayton stepped up when Neighbors was out, and Wan'Dale Robinson is quietly having a great year. So Danny Dimes, I think he's going to be gone after this year. And Dabble, maybe it's free agency or in the draft, but he's going to get his quarterback and get a year with him next year because they already announced that they're bringing back the GM and Dabble next year because they want to see him with his quarterback. So for this game, though, got to go with the Steelers as long as Russell Wilson can play 60, 70% of how he did last week. The Steelers team is going to be just as good as they were at Justin Fields if he can play that way. But anything better than that, this Steelers team could win the North if
Yeah.
they can somehow, some way beat the Ravens at least once this year.
Yeah, and they play the Ravens really good. But you can't look past the Giants here. The Steelers have a tendency to, kind of let a team stay in the game. Giants, like you said, their receiver core is good. Daniel Jones has played good. If Danny Dimes plays well, I think the Giants are pretty good. But with that being said, obviously I'm taking the Steelers. It's gonna be taking the Steelers either way, so it doesn't really matter, you know. But Russell Wilson, I can't lie, dude. He looked good last week.
Hmm.
Maybe he owns New York.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. We'll see. I guess you'll have to come back next week to see if he does.
Yeah.
But until the next time, the bench buddies are out.